Vermillion, South Dakota, sites of the biggest game at FCS football this week, and it happens to be a pivotal MVFC clash. Number 1, South Dakota State. Jackrabbits coming in 7-0 on the year, 4-0 in the Missouri Valley Football Conference against the hometown South Dakota Coyotes. USC number 4 in the country, 6-1 overall, and 4-0 in the Valley. Andre, this is, depending on which side you ask, either the 116th meeting all time or the 117th meeting all time, but I think both sides would agree this might be the biggest one yet.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you just look at the implications of the conference, of the national picture, playoffs, and just the fact that both teams are undefeated in the conference. Oh, this is huge.
Yeah, one area of the field that is going to be of the utmost importance today is the red zone. South Dakota State, number 1 in the country, number 1 in the Valley, number 2 in the country in red zone offense. Jackrabbits 24 of 25 on the year, didn't miss until last week's game at Southern Illinois, but they've got 23 touchdowns out of those 24 scores in the red area. Meanwhile, their defense top-notch as well inside the 20, currently 2nd in the Missouri Valley behind South Dakota. As we look at their numbers on the red side of this, South Dakota number 1 in red zone defense, Andre, allowing just 68.2% to opponents inside the 20-yard line. Their offense is pretty good as well. That's a very, very big spot in this game. Who can execute better in the last part of the field?
Yeah, and that's going to be the key, I think, is who can execute in the red zone. Can the defense of the Coyotes keep the Jacks from scoring touchdowns? Because that's the key there. You give them 3, okay, you're kind of doing your thing, but they score touchdowns. Can you keep them from doing that? That could be a big key factor.
All right, kickoff coming up. First, a tailgate tip from South Dakota's Beef Industry Council. The Interstate Series resumes today in Vermillion. Number 1, South Dakota State, and number 4, South Dakota in the biggest game in FCS football this week. JL said Andre Stairs upstairs. Andre Fields, not stairs, upstairs. For you calling all the action here today. The 3rd member of our team is Darren Wallace.
What's going on, Jay? First of all, just want to say, what an atmosphere. This dome is packed, and it's basically, since these two teams first met in 1889, it's been a foregone conclusion that they're guaranteed to match up during the season at some point. But let's just take a look at some of the wacky occurrences where these two teams haven't played. In 1916 to 18, World War I kept these two teams from playing. Then during World War II, 1943 to 45, that kept these teams from playing. Then the 8 years after South Dakota State jumped to the FCS, these two teams didn't play. And then in 2020, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic kept these two teams from playing. Of course, I'm sure you're fond of this, Jay. The last time these two teams matched up in the Dakota Dome, it took a Hail Mary effort for the Coyotes to get the job done. These two teams are both top 5 in the country. It's set up to be one for the ages, and I'm sure everybody is looking forward to the outcome of this game, guys.
All right, thank you, Darren. And we are getting set for football here. There's been a lot of talk about this game in the state of South Dakota all week long, as you would expect, Andre, but the intensity of that conversation ratcheted up a couple of notches this year with where these two teams sit in the national landscape. South Dakota State kicks it off. Keandre Jones back deep, takes the fair catch, and they'll move it out to the 25-yard line, where South Dakota will get the football first. Again, Coyotes coming in 6-1 on the season, but 6-0 against FCS competition. And Aiden Bauman, a big reason for that success, certainly. 6'5", 245-pound sophomore quarterback. Among the national and let alone Valley leaders in QB efficiency this year. Bauman, 1,359 yards, 10 touchdowns, Andre, through the air, just 1 interception throw.
Yeah, that's the one that stands out to me, is he's doing a good job of protecting the football, not putting it in harm's way when he has to throw it. That's good for that Coyote efficiency on offense. I'm
completing nearly 70% of his passes. It goes right to work here, finds his tight end, J.J. Galbraith. And Galbraith out to that first down marker. It's a first down again for South Dakota out to the 35-yard line. We're going to look at the offensive line for South Dakota right there as we look at their starting lineup. But that group up front much improved this year, no doubt.
Absolutely. It's probably one of the reasons why South Dakota's 3 running backs have all topped well over 100 yards in most games.
Well, South Dakota, of course, under the direction offensively of first-year offensive coordinator Josh Davis, a South Dakota State alum, getting his first chance to coach against his alma mater here today. This time he calls number 5, Travis Tice, who goes off the right side, picks up a couple just shy of the 40-yard line.
You'd assume that there'd be some familiarity then with this offense on both sides with those coaches coming from each location.
Defensive line, you're going to see a bunch of guys cycling through up front for the Jackrabbits today. Savion Williamson, are going to see Adam Bach as well, and he's actually out there for this first possession. Bach, one of the best linebackers in all of FCS football, has been limited severely this year due to a foot injury, just playing in his 3rd game of the year. But he's man in the middle right now. There is Galbraith again into South Dakota State territory, down to the 44-yard line.
That's a matchup that you got to watch there. They had Galbraith out on the edge in the wide receiver position. He was being guarded by a linebacker, Jason Freeman. The Coyotes feel that's going to be a mismatch with the way that Galbraith's, capable of catching the football, more like a big receiver rather than a tight end. That's going to be a matchup to continue to watch if they keep in that man coverage.
So 2 catches for 31 yards on the board already for Galbraith. And 2 running backs to either side of Bauman. Give it off Charles Pierre Jr., the newcomer of the week in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, Andre. And he was a shoestring away from maybe breaking it big there. Yeah, that was a big time either trip up or stumble. In either case, yeah, he was almost to the edge and would have had some big time yardage had he been able to stay on his feet. It looks like maybe Galbraith actually tied up his feet for him, so maybe a little friendly fire on that one. Kept it to a minimal gain, just a yard, 2nd and 9 from the 43-yard line of the Jackrabbits. Opening drive of the game, number 1 versus number 4. In a battle of undefeated teams in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Travis Tice, another carry. He's down to the 40 or just shy of it. And 3rd and medium coming up now for South Dakota.
And this is where the Yotes want to be offensively. 3rd and less than 5, where you have the option of run or pass. You have 2 plays where you could essentially pick up those 4 yards. And so this is right on schedule for that Coyote offense.
Cale Reeder, the strong safety, in on the stop that time for South Dakota State. 3rd and 6 for USD. 3 wide receivers for Bauman. Sends Tice in motion. Sets up a tight end screen for Galbraith. Turns it upfield, and he's cut down just shy of that first down marker. He's got about a half yard to go as they put it just inside the 35-yard line, and 4th and inches coming up here on the opening possession of the ball game.
This is a good job of Adam Bach coming from inside out from that linebacker position. He just knifes down right behind those 2 lead blockers and makes a sound tackle and sets up this 4th and short.
So Bob Nielsen going to roll the dice early here, it looks like, on 4th and inches. Heavy formation. Tice to the right of Bauman. Keandre Jones in motion. Tries to get the edge. Freshman into the 2nd level inside the 30-yard line. First down, South Dakota.
Kind of a gutsy call, in my opinion, here. You do a quick pitch behind the line of scrimmage rather than just attacking right upfield, where he has to go left and right before he gets north and south. But he gets the first down and some for the Coyote offense to keep with this drive.
Keandre Jones, you heard David Brown talk in the pregame show today about the loaded running back room at South Dakota. Keandre Jones made his career debut against North Dakota State. Had a touchdown that day and has been a regular part of the lineup ever since. As Bauman under pressure there from Cade Tervier, just has to hurl it toward the sideline. It falls incomplete.
I think that's going to be another key, Jay. If the Jacks can get pressure up front on Bauman, it's going to force him to have to get rid of the football quicker than he wants to, and that could put the ball in harm's way. You could see that 1 interception stat change as long as the Jacks continue to get pressure on him up front.
How about this, though? Aiden Bauman, you talk about efficiency. Since he's gotten into the lineup here at South Dakota. He's responsible for 20 total touchdowns, just 3 turnovers altogether.
Huge.
2nd and 10 after the incompletion. Give it up the middle. Here's Pierre, takes a shot there, and that's from Quentin Hicks, the defensive end. It's a gain of just 2.
Yeah, I like it by Quentin Hicks. This is rivalry football here. Once you give him the shot, then you give him a little extra before you get up off the pile.
This pace has been pretty standard for South Dakota, already taken up over 5 minutes of this first quarter. Clock continues to move, and it's 3rd and 8 from the 26 of South Dakota State. Bauman tried to swing it out. He overthrew it, Andre, let it go late. Throws it right into the turf. It's incomplete, 4th down.
And again, I think the pressure is what got to him. He looks to his right to make this easy throw, and there's someone in the passing lane, and so he has to re-clutch this or maybe even squeeze it a little harder. That ball looked like it might have even been behind Tice. It's a good thing it bounced out of bounds if you're rooting for the Coyotes.
Yeah, they are backing it up all the way to the 33-yard line, so that changes certainly this field goal attempt for Will Leland. Will Leyland, the kicker. 7 of 7 on the year, but this is his longest attempt so far this season. Will be a 50-yarder. And now Bob Nielsen wants to talk things over.
Or yell at refs, which is what he's doing at the moment. I think he's complaining about the ball being out of bounds, but you can clearly see that it was behind the receiver, and therefore a lateral pass.
Let's check in on our seeds for success today here, Andre, brought to you by Renovo Seed.
Well, I think the dome discipline for the Jacks is the key here. What I mean by that is, they've had some penalties in these last 4 games. They've had more penalties than their opponents. You get in a hostile environment, can you keep your head and not let the rivalry get to you? If they do that, they'll be on track. And then again, own the line of scrimmage. That's both sides of the football. You get pressure on Bauman, that's going to make him put the ball in harm's way. And offensively, that senior offensive line, man, are they looking good. And if they can continue that dominance today, it's going to be a long day for the Yotes. On the other side, Yotes got to be even Steven. Like, you can't ride the wave. It's going to be some momentum shifts in this game. It's going to be some highs and some lows. You just got to continue to execute. Don't let the fans affect you mentally, and then protect the beat. By that, I mean both Bauman and the ball. Okay, you got to protect Bauman, give him time in the pocket, because that's where he's most efficient, and then you got to be able to protect the ball. Turnovers cannot be a factor in whether you win or lose this game.
Yeah, they're taking another look at this down on the field to see whether that was in fact a lateral as opposed to a forward pass. Ruled on the field as a lateral. Now, there's no question it goes behind Travis Tice. But did Aiden Bauman, was he deeper, and did he throw it forward? I think that's the question here ultimately.
Yeah,
ruled on the field again to be a backwards pass and a fumble, and that's why right now as it stands it would be a 50-yard attempt for Will Leland instead of maybe about a 45-yard. So there's a difference of about 5 yards in play here.
And makes a big difference for your kicker, because those 5 yards matter in field goals. It's easier to make a 45 than a 50.
Confirmed, the pass was backwards. It will be spotted at the 33-yard line. 4th down. South Dakota has used their challenge for the first half.
So South Dakota actually challenging that. And we'll take one more look at it here. Keep a look at where Bauman is. Yeah, that's right. That's real close either way.
Yeah, exactly.
But they say confirm, which means the video proves it. So call stands on the field. Call is confirmed on the field. So Will Leyland comes back out there to attempt a 50-yard field goal. His long on the year is 41. Hit a couple of those, including the game winner against Youngstown State back a couple of weeks ago. Out of the hold of Tyler Ebel, his punter. Kick is up, and it is good. Will Leyland from 50 yards out gets South Dakota on the board. 3-0 on the Ag Tegra scoreboard. 9:30 to play first quarter. the Integra scoreboard, 3-0 early, South Dakota, after a 50-yard field goal from Will Leyland to cap the opening drive of the day for South Dakota. Puts them on top. But South Dakota State and that extremely explosive offense going to get it for the first time today here after the kickoff from Zeke Mata. So there's Zeke Mata. He's the kickoff specialist for this South Dakota team. And back deep, Amar Johnson, who's the top kickoff returner in the Missouri Valley Football Conference so far this year, let alone one of the top running backs, along with his backfield mate, Isaiah Davis. Good kick from Mata, drives Johnson back to the goal line. He'll bring it out. Good coverage downfield. Parker Fryer flying down the field, got a piece of him and tripped him up short of the 15-yard line.
You know, and I always am for bringing it out, especially if it's at the goal line or we're just inside the goal line. If there's space, you know, why not try to make something happen? We see a lot of fair catches here, but of course, anytime you get tackled inside the 20, you always question if you should have just took a knee or fair caught that one and brought it out to good field position.
All right, Mark Gronowski coming on, as we heard pregame. First time he's playing in this building. Played last year up in Brookings against South Dakota, but his first chance to play inside the Dakota Dome. 69% on the year, 1,321 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, couple of interceptions, but he's awfully dangerous with his feet as well, as is this guy right here, Isaiah Davis, who promptly picks up 4 yards on his first attempt of the afternoon.
Not only is Gronowski also very efficient with the football, not putting it in harm's way, but man, the experience that he has, being a 2-year starter and having played in some of the biggest games in FCS football, give him a wealth of knowledge and confidence to command this offense as well as he has.
Remember, tore his ACL during the FCS National Championship game in the spring of 2021. They missed all of last season, or excuse me, spring of 2020 season. Came back last year, obviously played very well, led them to a national title. But now some pre-snap movement will back the Jacks back up right near that original line of scrimmage, if not a touch behind. So they do back it up to the 18-yard line officially. So second and a long 10 here now for South Dakota State. Jackson Yankee, the man in motion, and again a flag comes in. Another false start for SDSU.
We just talked about keys to this game, Jay. Dome discipline.
5-yard penalty. Second down.
First 2 plays, essentially. I mean, you had to run, but the first 2 plays of this game, you're making boneheaded mistakes that are killing your offense and moving you back closer to where you don't want to be. They've got to get that figured out. I'm sure they will, but it's not a great way to start this drive.
Had 13 penalties in that win last week against Southern Illinois, but they certainly kept that game interesting, which they won 17-10 in Carbondale to set up today's showdown. Now miscommunication in the backfield. Davis somehow ends up with a football, but there are red hats everywhere. They knock him down for a loss of about a yard.
So you can clearly see that right now the Jacks offense just isn't in sync. They don't have it together. Maybe those 2 false start plays kind of got them rattled a little bit. Here you get a miscommunication between Davis and Gronowski. Somebody turned the wrong way. And now you're in 3rd and long. It's not where you want to be if you're a Jacks fan. And here's where we're going to see if that USD defensive line can create some pressure going up against this very, very veteran and talented offensive line of South Dakota State.
3rd and 15, ball all the way back at the 9-yard line of South Dakota State. They'll keep it on the ground with Davis trying to find some room. And again, look at all the red hats flowing to the football, Andre. That's good team defense.
That is. That's what you want to see. I mean, you want to see everyone getting to the football there, and a great job there specifically by Telvin McKelvey of setting the edge. For a second, it looks like Davis is going to be able to get out of harm's way. Right here, you see McKelvey come up and basically set the edge, force him to stop his feet. And the rest of the Coyote defense comes and swarms in for the tackle.
Look at Jimmy Rogers, his first year as a head coach, taking over for the legend John Stiegelmeier. Off to a great start, 7-0, but his team 3-out on their opening possession here today. And South Dakota should get good field position here as Hunter Dustman punts from his own end zone. Carter Bell underneath it at his own 40-yard line. He'll try the return, turns it upfield, and Spalding is there to lay a heavy hit on him at the 44-yard line. So the defense does its job for South Dakota. Aiden Bauman and company coming back out, trying to add to an early 3-point lead in Vermillion. Well, we talked a lot about how even these matchups between these two teams have been in Vermillion, and these are averages or totals at the bottom with the turnover number of the last 5 games in Vermillion. I think a lot of people would be surprised to see that USD leads all of those categories: total offense, passing offense, rushing offense, and their +3 in turnovers. South Dakota State, despite that, has managed to win 3 of the 5 here at the Dakota Dome. And good defense there. Tavir not falling for the screen pass there to Travis Tice. A little slow to get up, but the big man is back to his feet now.
Yeah, and if you know, the way it looked, he had something brewing there. Had he been able to get past, it would look like Williams there. If he got past Brian Williams, he would have had something, but Brian wasn't having it.
Tavir was right there as well, but Williams, the man who actually made the hit to bring down Tice behind the line of scrimmage. So that's a loss of 4 yards for South Dakota. It'll be 2nd and 14 from their own 40-yard line. Bauman shifts 2 tight ends to the left side of the formation. He's got Martins and Bell to the right. Looking to go over the top. Wanted Galbraith, and just a touch too much on that one.
Yeah, well, Galbraith had a chance at this. It looks like it goes right through his hands. These are balls you would expect him to catch, and that he usually does catch. Would have given the Coyotes a first down, but was not able to hold on. Just through his hands.
You see Bauman just trying to lay that in there into that little soft spot in the coverage. Couldn't get it done as Galbraith unable to haul it in. So 3rd and 14 for South Dakota. Single setback is Charles Pierre Jr. behind Bauman in the pistol. Pressure coming. Bauman delivers one downfield, looking for Javion Phelps. And a couple of Jackrabbits in coverage that time. Dallas Beatum breaks it up. Nice play by the DB.
It was. This is a beautiful job by Beatum on this one. Just running with them, playing the ball high, getting his hands in between the receiver's hands and smacking that thing away at the last second. That's a great job, great coverage by Dallas Beatum.
Senior out of Omaha, Nebraska, 7 career interceptions coming into the day. Breaks that one. That was a nicely thrown ball downfield by Bauman. Beatum says no thanks. And now Tyler Ebel on to punt it away for South Dakota. Angles it towards the SDSU sideline. Takes a Jackrabbit bounce back to the 26. And that is where Mark Gronowski and company will take over when we come back. Still 3-0 on the Ag Tech scoreboard. 5:27 to go in the first. Quite the contrast in coaching experience, at least head coaching experience here today. You've got Bob Nielsen in his 8th year here at South Dakota, but a 30-plus year career for him against Jimmy Rogers. 7-0, as we talked about earlier, taking over his first year in charge after the retirement of John Stiegelmeier. Rogers was the 2022 FCS Coordinator of the Year as a defensive coordinator last year for South Dakota State en route to that national championship. Play action on first down. Gronowski checks down to Davis out of the backfield, and he's ridden out of bounds. Jonathan Jonas, Brock Mogensen on the stop. But a gain of about 7 yards here for Davis.
You know, I can relate to Coach Rogers in some ways, Jay, as you know, we alluded to an earlier broadcast this season, taking over for a legendary head coach. You know, it's a lot that goes into that. And really, you just want to continue to keep the ball rolling, maybe just put a little bit of your spin on it. And I think that's what Coach Rogers' whole game plan is for this Jacks team this year.
Officially 8-yard pickup there for Davis. Busy man here in the early part of the ball game. Not that that's a surprise. He's got a first down, the first of the day for South Dakota State, out to the 42.
Go with the little play action pass on first down. You come back to your bread and butter, which is Isaiah Davis in between the tackles on second, and you pick up that first down. Now they're starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm here offensively, as opposed to that first series, which was very, very disjointed.
Davis approaching 3,700 yards rushing for his career at South Dakota State. Has 40 touchdowns on the ground. That's fourth best all time in program history. Now Gronowski to keep it himself into the open field. He's tripped up from behind by Mogensen, but a flag does come in. And that's in the backfield, so we'll have to wait and see.
Obviously in the area of holding, which will bring this back. If so, Coyote fans are taking a sigh of relief there, as Gronowski was able to just find the hole and exploit it for a huge gain.
Holding. Offense, number 60. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Mason McCormick, the All-American left guard, and we want to talk about guys that have a chance to play on Sundays. He is one of them, and he's not the only one on this offensive line for SDSU.
Absolutely, and we saw some scouts in the building earlier today, so I'm sure that's who they're here checking out. Brock Mogensen saving the touchdown there, but all for naught as they move it back from the holding penalty.
A couple of All-Americans on the left side of that offensive line with McCormick and Garrett Greenfield, both electing to come back to use their 6th year of eligibility. Gronowski looking to stretch the field. Good coverage down there, and it's picked off by Shaheed Barrows.
Yeah, I was wondering why Gronowski threw this ball. He stared, first of all, he stared at him the whole way. So he allows the safety then to follow his eyes to the football, and Shaheed Barrows was in perfect position. They had the receiver bracketed, a DB on the inside, a DB on the outside. Gronowski still tries to force this ball into Jackson Yankee, and Barrows was able to make the interception.
You see that ball come out when he hit the ground and pop back up. He had to catch it a second time. There it is. And Barrows, that kept it off the ground.
Well, we're going to see.
I mean, they'll review everything on a turnover. Up in the booth, they'll take a quick look at that to confirm. And I think now they're going to take a little bit longer look at that
on the field was
to make sure it did not hit the floor.
Correct.
Previous play is under further review.
And that's the part from the camera side that where that play happened was really tough to see with the naked eye. We didn't see it until we got another look at it on the monitor here.
And as you've always mentioned, Jay, the key here is what's the call on the field? The call on the field is interception. They would have to see something to change their mind that was definitive.
This might be the only opportunity to see it here because it's ground level. And you've got to see the football actually make contact with the ground. I think he keeps it up. That leg comes in and kind of camouflages it. So going to be tough to overturn,
right, that's
based on that look. Even if it did hit the ground,
right,
they called it an interception on the field.
And I think that's what's going to probably be the case here, Jay. They called it an interception. Maybe they have, you know, maybe to them that's different from how we see it, but it seems here we don't have enough info.
The ruling on the field stands. It'll be first and 10, South Dakota.
And that's simply because Barrows' leg came over and blocked the last part of the view on that. They're not saying it was definitively an interception or an incompletion. They can't see it, and that's why the call stands. As it stands, it's the first career interception for Shaheed Barrows. What a game to get that one. Give it off. Here's Charles Pierre, turns it upfield, following the block of J.J. Galbraith. And it's a nice pickup of about 5 yards.
You see here so far in this game, I mean, we're still in the first quarter with 3.5 to go. And this is a defensive battle. You know, both of these defenses have stepped up so far today. There's been some decent plays, but no big plays have been made except that one, the interception of Gronowski, only his 3rd interception of the season.
Pierre gets another look at it. You see the quickness that he possesses as he moves it out across the line to gain. First down, South Dakota to the 39-yard line.
And a group that doesn't get a ton of credit is the offensive line for USD. I mean, you got 3 running backs that all can, go well over 100 yards in the same game. That means there's something going on up front. Those boys are getting after it. They're creating lanes for those running backs to get through. Curtis alluded to it in the pregame show. The Coyote offensive line is also very, very good. It's one of the reasons why that running game has been so talented this year.
So Charles Pierre gets a quick break. Travis Tice into the game at running back. He'll get a try. Lots of Jackrabbits there to cut him down right at the line of scrimmage. Falls forward for a yard. Quentin Hicks in on the stop along with Adam Bach. Gain of just 1 yard.
And notice how South Dakota State is rotating the entire defensive line. They're going to keep guys fresh so that they can continue to get after the offensive line of the Coyotes with all 4 players rotating in and out.
And you want to talk about one of the things that makes you a national championship contender? Things like that, the ability to cycle through your entire defensive line, have that kind of depth to work with. And Galbraith tried to turn it upfield a little too early that time, lost it. Adam Bach was there in coverage, but it falls incomplete in 3rd and long now.
2 drop balls by Galbraith. I mean, you could make the case again. One that wasn't perfectly thrown. He had to jump up for it, and that one, which was a little low and being somewhat defended. But both balls that touched his hands that he was not able to bring in, something that Coyote fans aren't used to seeing.
Bauman has started 5 of 9 for 36 yards. Need to get to the 49-yard line for a first down. Steps up in the pocket. Flag comes in from behind. Bauman has first down yardage into SDSU territory, but this one's going to come back.
Yep, this is going to be a hold.
Holding. Offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. 3rd down.
A lot of laundry on the field already today. 5 combined penalties between these teams in the first quarter.
We talked about that. Penalties being a big part of this game. Who can limit them and not put themselves in harm's way?
It's Joe Cotton, the left tackle.
The irony of the last series, Gronowski gets this big run. It's called back by a holding penalty on one of their better linemen. Here the Yotes, Bauman gets a huge run for a first down. It's called back by a holding penalty on one of their better linemen. So kind of a sloppy game and early. So you expect a little bit of that if guys are a little bit too keyed up right now in the rivalry.
So Bauman empties the backfield. Now Martin's in motion. 2 targets to either side of the line. Here's Galbraith again. He's got it back short of the original line of scrimmage there, out to the 38-yard line. Pickup of 8, but well short of the first down. And South Dakota will have to punt for the 2nd straight drive.
Yeah, South Dakota State playing in the zone there, short zone, keep everything in front of you. They were able to do that. South Dakota picks up, some yardage. They want to just get themselves some extra breathing room so they could then come out and kick this ball away.
Keep an eye on this guy back to return. Tucker Large standing inside his own 25-yard line. It's a short kick from Ebel. Gets a great bounce, though, and Large picks it up and then falls down at his own 7-yard line.
So, because it wasn't a great kick, Large has got to go ahead and field this football. Either you field it and you go, or you field it on you fair catch. But either in this case, you want to get that ball on the bounce and take off, or at least get tackled at the spot. But once it went by him, then I would have let the ball go. It seemed like it had enough momentum to maybe reach the end zone. But by picking it up, you're in bad shape now.
So the 2nd time in their 3 possessions, South Dakota State will have a long field in front of them as they take over 1st and 10 at their own 7.
And again, first quarter, those jitters, that excitement, that overexcitement is still in each player. They haven't really settled down and settled in just yet. Give it off to Davis, tries the left side, finds a hole, busts through a tackle, and he's out just shy of the 15-yard line. Just force
coming off number 22 that time as he broke through a couple of Coyote tackles.
And if the Coyotes haven't watched this on film, then I don't know what the problem. You got to wrap him up. If you can't just hit this man and expect him to go down. It's not happening. He's way too strong. You got to wrap him up, and in some cases, you might have to wrap him up with 2 or 3 guys like there to get him on the ground.
And that looks like it's going to do it for the first quarter of play here in Vermillion. 15 minutes down. And it has lived up to the hype to this point.
Yes, sir.
Will Leyland's 50-yard field goal, the only points on the board thus far here in Vermillion. As number 1, South Dakota State, and number 4, South Dakota tangle in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Take a look at the tail of the tape between these two teams. And South Dakota State, I mean, offensively, defensively, Pro Football Focus actually has them rated as the number 1 offense and defense in FCS football right now. It tells you a lot about just how good the Jackrabbits are. As we get a look at the special guests in attendance here today, Chris Strevler made the trek from his home in Arizona to check out biggest matchup at the FCS level between these two arch rivals today. Hoping to get a chance to talk to Chris here at some point today. And that is a first down carry for Davis out across, or out to rather, the 18-yard line. So that moves the sticks and a fresh set of downs to open this second quarter for South Dakota State.
When offensive coordinator Josh Davis came from South Dakota State and took over the offense for the Coyotes, you expected to see some changes. They really didn't do a lot of changes as far as the offensive formations goes and some of the plays. And that's because it's a lot similar to what South Dakota State also does. And so if they've had that success, of course, you want to just try to model it. You see a lot of similarities right now in both offenses. A lot of these plays look very familiar.
Over the middle, and that's Yankee makes the first catch of the day. Remember, he was the intended target on the interception. But a nice pickup there out across the 35 to the 36-yard line. Jackson Yankee with his 220th career reception.
No pressure. Gronowski able to just sit back in the pocket, wait for Yankee to find the opening in the zone, and then fire him a good catchable ball over the middle.
Yeah, this drive started all the way back at the SDSU 7. Trying to backside that screen with Davis. Picks up a nice block from McCormick. First down for Davis out to the 47-yard line.
Best thing about that block, Mason McCormick, of course, the senior, as we just mentioned, with NFL hopes, doesn't put hands on him. Just knows, oh, I just got to get in front of him, push him a little bit. Yeah, just a little basketball pick. Allows Davis to get around him and pick up more than just the first down.
Well, the electricity inside this building today has been jumping from well before kickoff. I mean, you had the standard late arrivals as normal, but there are a lot of people in the seats 70 minutes ahead of kickoff today. And you feel that energy now as Gronowski tripped up, gets it into Coyote territory down to the 49-yard line, and a pickup of 4.
Yeah, the difference in this ball game is obviously execution. You know, I alluded to it a few minutes ago. Offenses look the same. So both defenses have seen these plays. They know what to expect. You're probably not going to fool anyone. Although South Dakota State is known to have a new wrinkle of some kind of a trick play in their bag that seems to come out every time they play the Yotes or the Bison. So you might get that. But here it's just a matter of who's going to out-execute the other team.
Mar Johnson getting his first carry of the day, cut down a couple of yards, maybe a yard and a half shy of the sticks at the 34-yard line.
We've done a lot of talking about the Coyotes backfield of Thomas, Pierre Jr. and Tice being, you know, kind of a three-headed monster. State has the same three-headed monster in Amar Johnson, Isaiah Davis, and Angel Johnson, who's gotten carries early this year and has done some great things. So they bring, you know, a trio of backs that can get it done just as well.
So third down and a yard for Gronowski. This is the best third down offense in the country. Jack's just under 59% on the season. Give it off to Davis. Met in the backfield. Finds some room, and he's got the first down to the 39-yard line. That was all effort by 22 because it wasn't there initially.
Nothing's there. Actually, the Coyotes defensive line gets pushed on the offensive line of state, pushed him back a yard, which slows Davis down initially. You think, oh, we got him? No, you don't, because this man is so strong. He's able to just find that crease and drive his legs forward to get that first down.
Davis, 7 carries for 28 yards so far on the day. Play action now on first down. Gronowski has some room in front of him, and he slides down ahead of the diving Tevin McKelvey. But again, remember, it's not where you finish that slide, it's where you start, where you dip those hips. And so that costs them a couple of yards as they spot the ball at the 35-yard line, a gain of 4. One of
those little things that you understand why they do it, but at the same time, it kind of drives you crazy, right? You see where the butt hits, and you're like, that's where they're down, not where they started going down. It just drives you a little bit crazy.
That was the 3rd carry of the day for Gronowski now. Brings up 2nd and 6 from the 35. Davis behind to the pistol, gets it here. And Ozai Newsome got a hand on him right at the line of scrimmage. Davis still able to drag him forward about another 1.5 yards. It'll be another 3rd down at the 32 of South Dakota.
Yeah, and Davis is used to this workload. I mean, this is 8 or 9 carries now here, and we still got 10 minutes to go in the second period. But he's used to this type of load, and he's built for it. That's the key here, is his body is strong. He's built for it. He had some injury issues, you know, in years past, but this year he's healthy, and he is a workhorse.
Gronowski redirects the formation. Once they get to the line of scrimmage, he'll give it off to Davis. Tries the left side this time. Mogensen meets him, but Davis falls forward for the first down. He's inside the 29.
That's what you want out of your #1 running back. The ability to either make people miss, make the first man miss, or get yak yardage on first contact. And yak is yard after contact. So he's able to take that blow and still pick up 1 or 2 extra yards just to keep the ball moving in the right direction.
Really nice drive being put together now for South Dakota State. Again, as we said, started all the way back at their own 7-yard line. Now 1st and 10 from the South Dakota 28. Gronowski to throw over the middle. Has Mike Morgan, the fullback / tight end. They use both Mike Morgan and Kevin Brenner in that capacity. Morgan makes the catch, his first of the day, and he's down to the 23.
And I think the reason the drive is going so well right now for South Dakota State is because of the guys up front. Notice that when Gronowski's back to pass, there's really no pressure. When he does get forced out of the pocket, he's not really being chased. It's just that the plays are kind of breaking down, and he's looking to create something with his legs. Right now, they're controlling the line of scrimmage, something that we talked about in the keys to the game, and that is the catalyst for why this drive is rolling.
Fakes the pitch to Johnson, looking over the middle for Morgan. That was a touchdown if he puts it in the right spot. Instead, it's tipped incomplete, and it'll be 3rd down.
And this one just gets away from him. Again, no pressure on him. Should be able to just step up into this throw and throw a zinger. It looks like he just put a little bit air on it because he saw Mogensen in the lane. He was in the alley of the throw, but he really probably wouldn't have had any effect on it if he throws this ball as a dart rather than trying to lay it in on him.
Yeah, Kyle's kind of just cut Morgan loose there. He was all alone. Nobody within 5-10 yards of him. So it falls incomplete. 3rd and 5 at the 23. Johnson still in there at running back. And now the snap to Gronowski. Looking for Johnson. Has him. Takes a shot, but he's got the first down to the 15-yard line.
And that's the key right there. First down. So now they have a new set of downs inside, well inside the Coyote red zone. Another good ball here, and a good job of catching the football as you take the shot, hit the ground, and still maintain control.
Again, now that they're in the Ag Tech red zone for the first time today.
We talked about
24 of 25 on the year. South Dakota State with 23 touchdowns against the #1 red zone defense in South Dakota.
It's under review here.
We're going to take a look for maybe targeting on that last hit from Barrows. There was no flag thrown on the play.
I've seen more egregious hits.
The hit did get a little high, but again, they have a checklist now with targeting, and they've got to hit all of the bullet points to be able to eject a guy from the game. But that's got to be what they're looking at here.
Now, I'm sure, and you have to do your due diligence. You have to be efficient. You got to do it the right way. I would assume this is going to just be a quick review, and they're not going to come back to it. Helmets never even make contact. It's helmet to shoulder. I think this should be a quick review, and they should move on.
Yeah, I don't.
My opinion, of course.
I think he leads with the shoulder, not the helmet there, but just when you think you've got this rule figured out, Andre, you're quickly reminded you have no idea.
Exactly.
That's every look we've got at it, so we'll see what they say. This was created from the booth. Nothing called on the field. And so the booth saw enough that warranted another look, and that's what's slowing us up here.
And even going a little longer than I expected, so maybe I am wrong.
Well, you talk about potentially huge loss from a personnel standpoint for South Dakota. Shaheed Barris, one of the top 2 corners for South Dakota, had the pick on the last possession for South Dakota State of the first quarter. But we'll get our final verdict here.
After review, personal foul, targeting, defense, number 4. That foul will be enforced half the distance from the end of the run. Automatic, first down. Number 4 has been disqualified.
Wow. What did we just say?
Yep.
You think you got it figured out?
Yep. My wrong streak continues.
I think he leads with the shoulder there. Unless they're calling him a defenseless receiver, and that, I don't know.
I mean, the contact even looks to be to the side of the helmet. Like, so I don't, two of the different criteria don't fit for me.
Coming out of his ears over that one.
I would be disappointed too. As you mentioned, he's the starter. He just had the interception, so he's playing a heck of a game. And now you lose him for the entire, not only half, but I mean, it's 7.5 to go still here in the first period.
So Dominic Reeves, number 5, gets the call because Barros out of the game. He will be eligible to play next week at Southern Illinois because he'll fill his full suspension here between the rest of the first half and the second. Now we get some end around into the end zone. Touchdown, South Dakota State, Jaden Yonke.
Well, I mean, this isn't quite trickeration, not to what I've come to expect from South Dakota State. This is just a reverse, and it catches the Coyotes off guard, and Jaden Yonke walks into the end zone for the 24th touchdown, red zone touchdown of the season for South Dakota State. When they get inside the 20, you might as well go ahead and put the 6 on the board because they're going to score a touchdown.
So it's an 8-yard score for Jaden Yonke, first touchdown of the afternoon. Now Dustman on for the extra point. Out of the holder of third-string quarterback John Bell, and it's up and good. And South Dakota State, for the first time today, is in front. Top-ranked Jackrabbits, 7-3 on an 8-yard touchdown run from Jaden Yonke.
Welcome back inside the Dakota Dome. Coyotes trail 7-3 to the Jackrabbits. I'm joined now by former USD Coyote quarterback Chris Streveler, as seen weekly on Seen It Like Strev with Jay Elson every week. Chris, you said it's your first time back here at the Dome. How does it feel to be back amongst the Coyote faithful?
It's electric, man. Good to see so many great people, man, and what a game to be back for.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of times coaches and players will say that every single week as they chant your name over here. Every week, you know, you prepare the same, you practice the same, you work the same. The goal is to go 1-0 every week. But how does that change in this matchup when you're preparing for SDSU?
Look, there's a little extra motivation going into this game, but ultimately you got to take it one play at a time. You got to play clean football, stay true to who you are as a football team, and I think they're doing a good job of that so far.
Thank you so much for joining us, Chris. Let's hope that the Coyotes, for your sake, come back in this game. They trail right now. It's been electric. The Dome is packed. Chris Streveler, let's get back to Jay upstairs.
Good to see Strev back in the Dome for the first time since he left here in 2017. He was excited.
That's a long time.
So Keandre Jones back deep at his own goal line. He'll bring it out. Big block there. And he's going to be tackled down at the 15-yard line. So South Dakota will take over there when we come back. 7:09 to play first half. 7-3 South Dakota State on top. Half of the Ag Tegra scoreboard. Number 1, South Dakota State. Fresh off a touchdown drive. It started all the way back at their own 7-yard line. In front for the first time today, 7-3 as Aiden Bauman and company get set to take over on offense. And we get another delay down on the field here. Are we reviewing for targeting again? So I would assume this is another. Okay, that's a block. It's got to be 33 on the crackback. Could that be a targeting review?
I mean, if it was the one that you're referring to,
again,
it doesn't look like
nobody threw a flag
back
on the field.
They were face to face with one another, and it wouldn't necessarily be cracked back, in my opinion. Obviously, I've been wrong a few minutes ago.
See if you can see here. It's 33. It's Gabe Hardman. Oh. I can't even read the number on the Jackrabbit who was running downfield there that he delivered that hit to. But again, I mean, if you throw two guys out without throwing a flag on the field, let's see.
After review, there is no foul for targeting. First down, South Dakota.
Obviously, they were looking at that, though, for them.
Yeah.
But come on, guys. Let's let's not get eject happy.
I mean, it's tough when if they missed the first one and it was confirmed on replay and then nobody threw a flag again. I mean, that's troubling.
It is.
Well, Aiden Bauman and company trying to answer that touchdown from South Dakota State now. Take over 1st and 10 from their own 14-yard line. Coyotes marched it down on their opening possession of the ball game. Settled for a 50-yard field goal from Will Leyland. And have punted twice since. Travis Tice gets a carry here. He's out to the 18.
And the Yotes, you know, in games past have known to rotate their backs by series. But here in this game so far, we've really seen a rotation of backs, you know, by each play. And so they're one, keeping guys fresh, and then two, they're giving different looks to the defense, so you're not really sure who's going to be in doing what based on their personnel groupings.
All kinds of company for Aiden Bauman in the backfield here. He'll give it off to Tice again, straight up ahead, met by the linebacker Jason Freeman, falls forward, and he's less than a yard shy of the first down marker at the 28.5-yard line.
And again, you'll take 3rd and short, you know, any time you can get it. As you see Tice just putting his head down, following behind Mr. Joe Cotton all the way up into the sticks.
Bauman again in the pistol, 2 tight ends with Jack Hagee and J.J. Galbraith. Tice cuts it up and gets just enough. He's out to the 25.
Yeah, and he barely got that one out. It's a good job of South Dakota State bringing some extra defenders off the edge. As you see the secondary guys stepping up there, Freeman and Dallas Beanham in there, almost able to get Tice before he gets to the marker, but he only needed less than a yard, and he was able to fall forward and get that.
Isaiah Stalbert on the stop that time for South Dakota State, but it's a fresh set of downs for Bauman and USD at their own 25. Give it off to Pierre. Gets contacted in the backfield, still manages to get positive yardage out to the 26. Maybe a little extra, but the Jacks all over that one.
Yeah, and it's a good job of Cade Tavere, the defensive end for South Dakota State, getting into the backfield. That looks like it was number 96 who was able to get back into the backfield. And that created some havoc back there as they tried to do kind of a counter where they pull one guard and try to lead up. But when there's somebody in the way, it's kind of hard to do that.
Got another look at those plethora of options on that defensive line. This is just the group that's in there now. Play action now for Bauman. Wants to take a shot downfield, looking for Carter Bell. Almost had it. It's in and out of his hands, incomplete.
Yeah, he just lost concentration there at the very end. Dallas Beanham goes up, makes a swipe for it, completely misses, and then the ball falls right into the breadbasket of Carter Bell, who by now his concentration is a little off, and he's not able to hold it up. Maybe Bynum's able to get a hand on that one.
I think Beanham got just a touch of the football here with that left hand as he reached up. Either way, one Carter Bell's going to wish he had hung on to, and probably feel like he should have hung on to. So it goes incomplete. It's 3rd and 9. Couple of nice plays on deep shots from Dallas Beanham in this first half for South Dakota State. Pressure coming. Looking toward the sideline, Javion Phelps. Good coverage over there by Cale Reeder, the strong safety, and it falls incomplete. Another punt coming up now for South Dakota.
And you like to see them take a few shots down there. Obviously, didn't come up with either of those. But you take those shots, it keeps South Dakota State's secondary honest. It keeps them dialed in and focused, not able to just kind of play tight and play the run. They have to be wary of that. And as you mentioned, Dallas Beanham, 2 nice plays back there on deep balls.
Ebel gets it away, and a good kick under pressure. And Tucker Large waves for the fair catch at his own 33-yard line. Still 7-3. South Dakota State looking to add to it before the break.
This game on Midco Sports is presented by Renovo Seed, simplifying forage, cover crop, and conservation seed choices.
4:07 to play first half. South Dakota State a chance now to perhaps double dip here, Andre, with starting a drive at their own 33-yard line with 4:07 to play first half. They will get the football first to start the 3rd quarter. Give it off to Davis. Again, stepping through tacklers and lunging all the way out to the 46-yard line.
And that's what this offense does, is they kind of grind you down. Granted, it's still the first half, so the wear and tear hasn't taken effect yet, but you continue to get plays like that with those big boys up front. Eventually, that's when really big runs start to break free, because you just get worn down defensively.
Give it up the middle. Here's Johnson. Cuts it straight up the gut. Gets it into USD territory to the 49-yard line. Pickup of 5.
And you're starting to see South Dakota State impose their will. I mean, second drive now where they're really starting to move the ball with some efficiency, getting 4 or 5 yards of play, staying in front of the sticks, not really having to use much play action until they want to, not because they have to, which would be the case if USD was able to get them out of rhythm and get them into some long down scenarios.
Gronowski fakes that pitch, looking over the middle, has Yonke, and he's down to the 20-yard line. Good catch in traffic that time by Jaden Yonke, who scored the touchdown on the Jacks' last possession. And he's got him right back in that red zone now.
And it's a good route combination. They basically ran a switch. The outside guy runs the post, the inside guy runs the corner, and the corner went first. So now you're taking that defender, because the Oats were in man, out of the middle of the field. You bring the post back underneath them, and as long as you got position on the inside as a receiver and your quarterback throws a good ball, you have a good play.
Into the Agtegra red zone for the 2nd consecutive possession. Amar Johnson into the end zone. Touchdown, South Dakota State.
Hit him with the big pass to get yourselves into the red zone. And again, what have we said? 26 red zone touchdowns in 27 attempts in the red zone this season. I mean, that, you can't get more efficient than that. As you see Amar Johnson really just do it all by himself with not much needed help, meaning he was barely touched right there. He gets a hand, somebody gets a hand on him, but he's untouched into the end zone. Now the Jacks are able to extend their lead.
Dustman on for the extra point. And he knocks it through. Dustman now 36 of 38 on point afters this season. Back-to-back touchdowns now for South Dakota State. Amar Johnson with his second score of the season. And it's 14-3 Jackrabbits on the Tegra scoreboard. Oh, another big day on Midco Sports continues tonight with college hockey from Ralph Engelstad Arena in Grand Forks as the Fighting Hawks look to complete the series sweep against Minnesota State. UND 6-2 winners on Friday night over the Mavericks. That's a 6 o'clock start time from Grand Forks. Alex Heinrich, Jake Brandt on the call for you right here on Midco Sports. So 14-3 South Dakota State with 1:57 to play first half. Talk about a big drive coming up here before the break for USD, Andre, because SDSU gets the football first to start the third quarter.
That's right. If they, I mean, this is a gotta have it drive. You got to get 7 or 3, or you need to run the clock out. In one of those 3 scenarios is the only options for USD at this point, unless you want to just get buried here to start the second half.
So the touchback there, they'll bring it out to the 25. But again, Bauman and company moved it right down the field, put together a really nice drive right off the opening kickoff. Took that 50-yard field goal from Will Leyland. But they have not found much room to work since then. Just 71 yards of total offense compared to 174 for the visiting Jackrabbits.
And only 27 yards rushing, which is the key for this Coyote offense. They got to do a better job of running the football.
That's a good way to start a drive. Bauman off the play action fake. Finds Carter Bell, hangs on this time out to the 44-yard line. That's a pickup of 19 yards. First catch of the day for Bell. Quickly back to the line. Bauman takes the snap. Pressure coming, dumps it off to Tice in the middle of the field, dragged down from behind. And now, did we get a flag come in late there?
Probably going to be a face mask.
Both teams penalized 3 times so far, but we'll see who gets number 4 here.
Personal foul, targeting, defense, number 32. Wow. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic first down. The previous play is under further review.
Again, we brought up the personnel situation with the Yotes losing Shahid Barros. Adam Bach is number 32 for South Dakota State. And the guy being looked at under the microscope here. And again, one of the differences is this is our 3rd targeting review of the first half. This is the first time the flag was actually thrown on the field. It doesn't mean anything because they still have to confirm it upstairs.
Correct.
But it's just interesting. Let's see if we can see it here.
You know, again, you know, me, former player, current coach, it hurts me for a couple reasons. One, he's being pulled down. So when you go to initially launch into your
it's second down.
When you go to launch into your tackle, the defenders, the runner is going to move. You really can't do anything about that.
And I mean, the Yote faithful are obviously upset because one of theirs got thrown out, but that's, in my opinion, the correct call. I didn't see targeting there at all.
I haven't seen it yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So Bach dodges a bit of a bullet there, stays in the game. Clock continues to move now. 2nd and 5 from the 49 of USD. Bauman to throw again. Pressure coming. Dumps it off. There's Tice trying to find some room. Tight ropes the sideline. And I think he's got the first down. He's out of bounds to stop the clock as well.
Yep, they're giving him the first down. Good little job of the Tice 2-step there on the Tice toe tap there along the edge to get that first down.
South Dakota does have 2 timeouts to work with. SDSU has all 3 remaining, although the Jacks are not looking to stop the clock at this point of the first half. Galbraith in motion, right to left goes the tight end. Bauman to throw again, over the middle, finds Jack Martins, and he's knocked down a yard shy of another first down at the 37-yard line.
Guys doing a pretty good job on this drive of throwing the football. Again, Bauman does a great job of not putting the ball in harm's way, taking what the defense gives them.
Looking to the sideline, and that one's broken up by Dyshawn Gales.
In typical Mid-Coast sports fashion, the moment I give some credit, something opposite happens. Good job by Gales there on the break to get a hand on that one.
Yeah, Bauman just couldn't get in there quick enough, and Gales just got a piece of it. Saw a big deflection there. Intended target was Javion Phelps. So 3rd and about a yard and a half here for South Dakota. And we're going to get a timeout from the South Dakota State side here, their first of the half.
Timeout.
With 1:03 to play
State,
in the second
that's
quarter.
their first of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
All right, timeout on the field means we check in with our friends at Agtegra.
The word cooperative means working or acting together for a common purpose. At Agtegra Cooperative, we are dedicated to supporting our farmers, their families, and our communities for generations to come. Agtegra, inspiring the next generation of agricultural leaders.
All right, so you've got 64 seconds to play in the half. South Dakota needs to get a first down first and foremost here. Although you would imagine that this may be 4-down territory given the state of the game right now. Scoreboard reads 3rd and 2. More like a 3rd and a short 2 here for South Dakota. They've got to get it just inside the 37-yard line. Give it off to Tice, leaps a defender, and he's got a first down to the 36. Travis Tice going up top to get the job done that time.
That just shows me how instinctive he really is. As he attacks the hole, he sees the defender coming full speed into the hole to make that collision, and he's able to react and go over the top of him for the first down.
Couldn't tell which SDSU player that was, but he was flying. Bauman, eyes downfield, deflected up in the air, and intercepted by Tucker Large. Kept it off the ground, and it goes down as a turnover. Just the second interception of the year for Aiden Bauman.
Yeah, Cade Tavere is the defender who's down. He took a big shot, so the ball's deflected up in the air. Cade Tavere catches it, takes a huge shot, probably knocked the wind out of him, but on the deflection, Tucker Large is able to come up with the football on top of his teammate.
It looked like Bauman was trying to thread the needle in there and get that to Jack Martins. There was room there to get maybe 10 yards. So Bauman elects to try and squeeze that pass in there. And Large makes a great play to deflect the ball up. The big fella almost got the interception.
He had it, and he took that shot. That's what knocked the wind out of him.
He took the shot for the team to get it done. That's for sure. But he able to get back to his feet, which is good to see there for Cade Tavere. South Dakota State, I mean, this is what they do, Andre. They get interceptions. I mean, you look at, they've led the FCS in interceptions each of the last 2 years and have at least one now in each game, or in all of last season, 2022, they had at least one pick. And 58 of 73 games, improve that to 59 of 74 games now with that pick. 2 touchdowns returned in the opener against Western Oregon, one of them by Tucker Large as well, but they can generate turnovers. The second one we've seen today, one for each side. Gronowski threw one earlier to Shaheed Barrows, and now Tucker Large picks off Aiden Bauman. Gronowski slides down. They'll give him the 36-yard line. Clock continues to move. Again, SDSU does have 2 timeouts left and maybe a chance to get some more points on the board here before the break. Yaki sidesteps the tackle of Tevin McKelvey, takes the shot. He's down at the 45 of South Dakota.
Yeah, they did, just getting the ball out quick. Let your playmakers make the plays with their legs. And you see that breaks a 1 tackle, runs by a 2nd tackle, 3rd, before he's finally brought down right at midfield.
USD has been pretty solid in the tackling department this year, but they've had a lot of struggles bringing guys down here in the first half today. And this catch from Yankee, the latest example. He's having himself quite a first half today.
Yeah, the senior from Madison, South Dakota, just doing what he's always done. Which once you get the ball in his hands, he's electric. Him and his brother.
How about the two of them coming in with 60 career touchdown receptions today? And he ran one in. Jaden did, obviously, the first touchdown of the day for South Dakota State. Now 2 catches, 49 yards to go along with that 7-yard touchdown run at the start of this quarter. Gronowski tucks it and runs. You see why he's so dangerous with his feet, Andre. Really good vision on top of some wiggle. And he's got another first down to the 32 of South Dakota. He clocks the football here. That'll stop it with 10 seconds remaining in the half.
Figure here you got one play, maybe two. If you get something done quickly before you can get your field goal team out, they only have one timeout left. So you figure one play here, and then you set up for the field goal attempt. But Coyotes playing that prevent defense then obviously leaves some holes open on the field. Gronowski just using his legs to get whatever they can give. They're giving him, and has now put them in contention to add to their score going into half, which would be huge because, as you mentioned, they get the ball to start the second.
Gronowski to throw, pressure coming. A couple of Coyotes collided on the way, and Gronowski just throws it away. They burn 7 seconds off the clock, so now Hunter Dustman will come out to try a half-ending field goal for SDSU.
It's a good job there by Stephen Hillis. They were trying to set up a little screen play to Johnson, and Hillis was able to avoid the lineman and maintain his position on Johnson, which then forced Gronowski to have to throw that thing away.
This will be a 49-yard attempt for Dustman. Is long on the year, 44. He's 4 of 7 overall, but from dead center of the field. The junior from East Bethel, Minnesota. Plenty of leg from Dustman. It is good. Hunter Dustman gives South Dakota State a 17-3 halftime lead here in the Interstate Series. Big second quarter for the Jackrabbits after USD led 3-0 after 1. But Jaden Yankee into the end zone for a touchdown. And you saw Mar Johnson in as well. The interception there from Bauman. 17-3 at halftime.
Vision halftime show on Midco Sports.
Welcome back inside the Dakota Dome where it's halftime. Jackrabbits lead the Coyotes 17-3. I just caught up with head coach Bob Nielsen, and he was very on edge. He said defensively, we just got to make plays. Right now the Jackrabbits, they're making a lot more plays than we are. That's why they were able to get a rhythm offensively. And then for their offense, for the Coyotes, he said, we got to catch the ball. We got to make plays that are there to be made, and that's going to be the difference in the second half. We'll send it over to the studio back in Sioux Falls.
All right, thank you very much, Darren. David Brown, Curtis Riggs with you here in our Sioux Falls studios, and Bob Nielsen couldn't have put it any better. There were some opportunities there for USD, especially in that second quarter when the Jacks were gaining momentum a little bit. You had a drop pass from Carter Bell. You had the interception late in the half. It seemed that SDSU kind of took control in that second quarter.
Well, and I think where they really took control is up front. The offensive line of SDSU, I mean, off air we were talking about the amount of time they had the ball in the second quarter, and you just saw the blocks were the ball carriers getting 5 yards before linebackers even getting near them. That's when you know you're winning in the trenches, and that's what SDSU was able to do there in the second quarter.
Yeah, if you look at the total amount of time that Jacks had the ball in the second quarter, 10 minutes and 41 seconds compared to just 4:19 for the University of South Dakota. And it started, of course, with that drive that started late in the first quarter, extended into the second quarter, took nearly 8.5 minutes off the clock, and got SDSU its first touchdown.
Yeah, and they stayed ahead of the chains. They were manageable third down situations. They never had to get out of their game plan. First drive of the game, they come out and get some penalties, and then they punted and thought, well, you know what, we'll regroup, start over. And they did, and they got back to their script and their game plan. And then, as Andre Fields said, they could do play action when they want to, not when they have to. And that was really instrumental to the touchdown pass they threw at the end.
Let's get a look at how it happened in the first half. These are the first half highlights that are brought to you by Avera Orthopedics. And you mentioned it early. USD got a nice drive going on its first possession of the ball game, just moving really, really well, and it ends up in a field goal for USD.
Well, and a lot of RPO game, which Bauman does very well. It's just you got to stay ahead in those chains. Down and distance is critical.
Career-long 50-yard field goal for Will Leyland, and USD is up 3-0. It would stay that way until the second quarter. Remember, SDSU, they had some trouble, as you mentioned, some false start penalties in the first quarter. They looked a little out of sorts. They get it going in the second. Nice play here, the reverse to Jaden Yonke for the 7-yard touchdown. And then after that, USD had an opportunity. A deep ball was dropped. SDSU comes back, 4 plays, 67 yards. Amar Johnson with the touchdown.
Yeah, and there was the big play-action pass to Yonke that led to that run, and efficiency in the red zone again. I mean, they're unstoppable in the red zone.
And then Tucker Large got a pick with 45 seconds left in the first half. SDSU drives the field, gets a field goal from Hunter Dustman to close the scoring in the first 30 minutes. And you get a look at the halftime numbers. SDSU, both teams trying to establish the run. SDSU doing a much better job of it.
Yeah, and I think the Coyotes have gotten thrown out of sorts with these targeting or is it not calls. And it was disappointing to see the young man get thrown out of the game. I didn't think it was something that warranted that, but the officials have a protocol that they follow. It met that protocol. They had to eject him, but it has taken them out of the game since that play happened.
Yeah, it was Shaheed Barrows, the corner, who got ejected for targeting. He had the pick of Gronowski in that first quarter. We'll see how the Coyote defense responds, but SDSU, they kind of wrestled that momentum in the second 15 minutes.
They did, and it was with that long drive, dominance up front with the offensive line, and then it seemed like it also took USD out of their game plan. The RPO game kind of became extinct, and it was Bauman having to throw all the time, and you saw that led to the turnover.
And again, missed opportunities for USD. Carter Bell had that ball on a deep shot, got hit, let go of it, and then there were other instances where USD just simply could not execute their offense. But then again, you look at the balance for SDSU as well. They're passing pretty well as well.
Well, and it's controlled. It's when they want to. They don't have to throw. They're doing it just when they want to, and they know the defense, what they'll be in, and the down and distance, and Gronowski has a great feel where he's supposed to be going with the ball.
Well, let's get a deeper look at Mark Gronowski. It is our Vance Thompson Vision Field of Vision. 7 of 10 in that first half, 98 yards. He did have that one pick to Barrows, but you see the short to intermediate passing game working best. That 1-for-1, though, and the deep shot to Yonke.
Yeah, and that was a well-designed play. The interception was very unlike him. He stared down the receiver the entire time. It was like he had no other option. Whereas other passes, he's done a very good job checking deep, going intermediate, and then hitting his check down for positive yards.
The Vance Thompson Vision Field of Vision on the opposite side for USD quarterback Aiden Bauman. 10 of 18, again, similar, that intermediate, short to intermediate passing game, what's working best.
Yeah, and the intermediate's very much designated with their RPO game, and they need to try to get back to that in the second half, but you have to have a run game to establish that RPO. Otherwise, they'll just be dropping back to pass, and that defensive line, rotating 8 to 9 guys, will get after Bauman.
Now, South Dakota State, they're going to receive the ball to start the second half here with a 17-3 lead. If you're USD, how do you wrestle that momentum back early in the third quarter?
Well, the first thing is they got to come out and get a stop. They got to fly around. You saw in that first couple drives, their defense was really getting after the ball carrier. They were flying to the ball. And then they were stagnant, standing, watching, and reacting. And SDSU will have their way if that continues.
It is a 17-3 Jackrabbit lead here at halftime on Midcoast Sports. When we come back, we will get a look at other scores from around the Missouri Valley Football Conference. 17-3, Jacks on top of the Yotes after the first 30. What does SDSU need to do? What does USD need to do?
SDSU needs to continue to control the line of scrimmage. I mean, it's that simple. The one thing I would suggest to USD they really need to consider is hurry up offense so that SDSU cannot substitute their personnel. Keep that defensive line rotation off the field. Do not let them wear down the USD offensive line. Stay ahead of SDSU, and they'll be a little more productive offensively.
Yeah, you heard Jay and Andre talk about it in that first half. One of the reasons SDSU's been so great over the years, culminating in that national title last year, they can rotate 3 and 4 different guys in on that line. So for USD, you want them to make sure that they don't have that ability to substitute.
Yeah, if you stay no huddle and up tempo, they can't afford to try to risk substituting because you can then quick snap them. Keep them off the field. Stay ahead. You have a veteran quarterback. He can call the play at the line of scrimmage and then make sure they do not rotate.
We will see what adjustments USD makes in the second half when we come back. South Dakota trailing South Dakota State 17-3. Back to Jay Elson and Andre Fields from Vermillion when we return on Midcoast Sports.
Welcome back to Vermillion. Still halftime in the Welcome back to Vermillion. Still halftime inside the Dakota Dome. South Dakota State leads USD 17-3 at the break. I just caught up with SDSU head coach Jimmy Rogers, and he said early on in the game we did start off slow offensively. We were kind of getting down on ourselves whenever USD made a big play, but once they were able to calm down, find a rhythm, they were able to get their offense going. They were able to score touchdowns on 2 of their last 3 possessions, and defensively around the same time their offense clicked, their defense clicked too. They started swarming and flying around and making big plays. He said South Dakota is a hard team to turn over. They were able to accomplish that late in the first half there, and he said they're just going to need to keep being themselves. They're used to hostile and loud environments because they play in Dana J, a packed house seemingly every week. So this is nothing new to them, and they're ready to go in this second half. Jay and Andre.
All right, thank you, Darren. And again, they get the football first here, already up 17-3. That after the 49-yard field goal from Hunter Dussman. But a dominant second quarter, certainly, for South Dakota State, Andre, and really all that momentum and goodwill that USD had built up throughout that first quarter, because it felt like USD controlled the first quarter, completely flipped it on its head in the second quarter. Jax, you could see that momentum shift, and it happened in a hurry.
Yeah, it did. You had one team that figured it out offensively as far as rushing the football, and the other that really hasn't yet, as USD right now with only 29 yards rushing in that first half as opposed to 116 from the Jackrabbits. That's not going to get it done if you're USD. You got to be able to run the football. That has been the catalyst for your offensive production this entire season. So if you don't get that figured out in the second half, you're probably going to see a lot more of the same that you saw in that second quarter.
Zeke Mata on to kick it away here to start the third quarter. South Dakota State trying to win a 22nd consecutive football game here today. And in good position here to start the third quarter. As Mata gets ready to kick it away, Johnson back in his own end zone for SDSU. Heading toward the sideline, and it's out of bounds. That's not how you want to start. As that'll move the football up to the 35-yard line.
You know, another key area.
Illegal kickoff out of bounds. Kicking team. The ball be placed at the 35-yard line. First down, South Dakota State.
Another critical area USD is going to have to hope that they shore it up here at halftime is third down efficiency. Right now, only 28%, 2 of 7 on third down conversions. They got to be able to, hold on to the football, extend drives, put themselves hopefully near the red zone so they can see some of their red zone efficiency come to fruition.
And you got to figure out how to get the best third down offense in the country off the field as well. Jax came in just under 60% on the year. They were 3 of 4 in the first half. Gronowski to pass on first down. Pocket breaks down. Trying to find something. Giving chase is Brendan Webb, and he's going to get thrown out of bounds and almost picked off. Stephen Hillis was over there, along with Dominic Reeves, who's playing in place again of Shahid Barrows, who was ejected for targeting early in the second quarter of this ball game. But Gronowski doing all he could to just stay upright on this play.
Yeah, he was. I mean, Mike Garone was in hot pursuit. And Gronowski is just doing his best Russell Wilson impression there with the reverse out, trying to get rid of that football.
South Dakota State has been really good in this frame all year. They've outscored their opponents 59-7 coming into today. Davis stood up after a gain of just 3 yards. I mean, they were pounding the rock with Isaiah Davis. He carried now 11 times on the day, Andre, and he's up over 50 yards with that carry. But the win you have to take if you're USD is he came into this game averaging almost 7.5 yards per carry. Right. He's under 4.5 today. Yeah,
that is a huge win when you look at it that way, Jay, because if he's doing 7 now, this could be out of hand already. Third down here, though, again, they've been very efficient. 3 or 4 on third down so far, or at least in the first half. We'll see what happens on this play. Keep an eye on Jaden Yaki. He's been the favorite target today, but this time it's Jackson. Other way, shakes off a tackle and thrown down inside the 10-yard line. Well, there you go. Another third down conversion. This one for a big gainer to Jackson Yaki. Just a fade ball where he gets a little bit of separation and a step. And this is a perfectly thrown pass by Gronowski just to lay this over the head of the defender right into the breadbasket of Jackson Yaki. Catches it in stride. You see the defender there, the Reeves, taking advantage of Reeves, who's in there for Shaheed Barrows, who was ejected. It's a 52-yard pickup, 1st and goal, South Dakota State at the USD 10-yard line. So the Yaki twins are having a big day here in Vermillion, and I think we're going to get a jump early here on the SDSU side of things.
False start. Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
Jacks have done a pretty good job of cleaning up the penalty department. Remember, they got off to a rough start in that way in this game. Had back-to-back false starts on their opening possession. Ended up having to punt the football away, but just one more penalty since then until that one right there, their 3rd false start of the afternoon. Backs it up 5 yards, so it's 1st and goal now from the 15-yard line. Davis bounces outside, lunging forward just shy of the 5-yard line. They'll give him the 7 officially. But there's a pickup of 8 right there. And nothing fancy about it. He just, follows the blockers off tackle and then explodes upfield. And as we mentioned, hard to bring down. The first guy usually doesn't get him on his own. He's always falling forward for those extra yards or dragging somebody for those extra yards, as he did right there. Coyotes matching a couple of substitutions here. 2nd and goal from the 7. Amar Johnson behind Gronowski in the pistol. Up the middle, nowhere to go that time for Johnson. Got a couple. But Coyotes plugged the gap in a hurry. Yeah, and this is a huge down. If you're the USD, you have to force them to attempt the field goal. We mentioned before the game, 26 trips in the red zone, 25 of them have resulted in touchdowns. If you're going to stay in this ball game, if you're USD, this one, you got to make this play. You cannot let them get into the end zone. You got to force them to go for a field goal attempt here on 4th down. You'll take that, but if you give them 7, it's going to be rough. Gronowski looking to the end zone, batted down at the line of scrimmage. Blake Holden got his big paw up there and knocked it down. And it looks like South Dakota did get exactly what you said it needed, Andre, there, as they're going to force another field goal attempt from Hunter Dustman. Good job of holding there. You can't get to the rush, then you get your hands up. Read the eyes of the quarterback. Get your hands up, see if you can get a paw on it. He does. And like I said, huge win for the Coyote defense here. First series out of the half to get them into a field goal attempt. This will be a 22-yard attempt for Dustman, who hit from 49 on the final play of the first half. Boots it through with ease, and the Jacks have now scored 20 straight points. They lead it 20-3 in Vermillion with 11:24 to play in the 3rd quarter. Time for our Sanford Orthopedic Sports Medicine injury report. South Dakota State secondary working for the second straight week without Stephen Arell, one of their backup cornerbacks, 6'3", 195-pound junior out of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, missing his second straight game with a shoulder injury. That left the Jacks thin in number in the secondary, but when you've got guys like Dyshawn Gales and Dallas Beanham on the perimeter, you're in pretty good shape. We've seen both of those guys break up passes already today. They played every play last week against Southern Illinois, and so they're handling the load, an extra load, in the absence of Stephen Arell again today.
We alluded to it with the defensive line. Like, they have depth at all these positions, and so when you have depth, that's how you dominate teams, because the guys that are coming in, the level never falls. It continues to stay at the top.
So South Dakota gets the football for the first time in this second half now. Coyotes with 110 yards of total offense in that first half. 81 of that was through the air, Andre. So I'm sure you're thinking, got to figure out a way to get that ground game going if you're the Coyotes here in this second half, which is easier said than done against a South Dakota State team that allows under 97 yards per game on the ground. And they have been flying to the football since that sluggish start. Bauman to the air. J.J. Galbraith, who got off to a fast start, had a couple of catches on the opening drive, has had one more since, gets one here, a pickup of 8 on first down.
Yeah, and it was one of those on the first drive was this play. So a very similar start to this half that they had at the beginning of the game, and hopefully they can have some of that same efficiency where they went down and got points in that first drive, and we haven't seen anything since.
Actually, his 5th catch already, 49 yards for Galbraith. Has been targeted 7 times on the day. They'll give it off Charles Pierre as they try to get that ground game going, and he followed Galbraith through the hole and picks the first down up to the 40-yard line. A pickup of 8 yards.
They're just trying to get hats on hats. You see they're able to do that. Pierre is very patient, waits for his block set up, finds a small crease, and gets the first down.
Take a yard back. It's out to the 39. That's where it's ball sets. 1st and 10 from there. Bauman steps up in the pocket, nowhere to go. Jacks are going to get him. Cade Tervier was there. Couple of other players in on the stop as well. Ryan Van Marl, the big defensive tackle out of Sheldon, Iowa, also part of that as they get to the quarterback for the first time today.
They do, and it's really a coverage sack, as Bauman wanted to go to Galbraith really quickly. Cale Reeder was right in the area. He couldn't do that. He wanted to go to the outlet, which was Tice in the flats. Couldn't do that, so he had to hold on to the football, and the D-line got there.
Loss of 3, 2nd and 13. Ball back to the 36-yard line of USD. Over the middle, Tice makes the grab, takes a shot from Jason Freeman and hangs on, but he's got a first down out to midfield.
Yeah, if you can't get the running game going, then you throw it to him. Good little play action pass here. They find Tice over the middle, who's able to go up, not only make the catch, but absorb the hit and still pick up the first down. Gosh, every time I see a hit like that now, I get worried that they're going to call a review for targeting.
We've had 3 of them today. And one actually held up. Shahid Barros, the first one of the day in the second quarter. No longer available today for USD. Up in the pocket, Bauman taking a shot, and he put too much onto it. Keandre Jones is quick, but not that quick.
Yeah, and he looked super fast, but he was nowhere near that football. Bauman does a great job of stepping into the pocket, avoiding pressure, and then just tries to let this one go and lets it go a little too far. Right there, good job. Stepping up, keeping his shoulder square to the line of scrimmage, but not enough.
Good coverage down there by Tucker Large, just hanging with the speedy Jones. 5'7", 170-pound true freshman. Kind of a gadget guy in this offense for Josh Davis this year. He has certainly earned his playing time. And Jacks all over the screen. They were trying to set it up to Galbraith. And Bauman forced to just throw it into the end zone, or into the turf. And it's incomplete. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Yeah, you know, Curtis mentioned this at the halftime show, that if USD really wants to take advantage of Jack's D-line, they should go some tempo. Because right there, Jack should bring in now 4 brand new D linemen for this 3rd down play. So they're fresh bodies coming off the sidelines to put some pressure on Bauman.
Bauman 12 of 21, 103 yards, and that interception so far today. Pressure coming, takes a shot. Pass was behind Carter Bell, just a touch, got a hand on it, but unable to haul it in, and the Coyotes will have to punt it away.
And so if you run tempo there, let's say your second down play happens, you just get right back to the line of scrimmage to run your 3rd down play. You don't give South Dakota State a chance to substitute in and out. If they try to do it, you can catch them off guard, you can catch them out of position. So the Yotes need to maybe think about doing some tempo in order to slow down the defensive pressure of South Dakota State.
So Tyler Ebel on to punt it away. Gets a good kick this time. Drives it deep. Ball checks up, and there is contact there made between Tucker Large and I believe that was
timeout.
The long snapper, Caden Pleaser. But no flag comes. Ball gets into the end zone. It's a touchback, and South Dakota State will take over at its own 20 when we come back. But you see Large. As Keon Turner actually delivered that shot. Jacks take over when we come back. 8:20 to go, 3rd quarter. (20-3), South Dakota State on top. With 8:20 to go, 3rd quarter, and Mark Gradowski and company back on the field now for SDSU. Coyotes move the football out to midfield on their last possession. Got a couple of first downs, but stalled out there and had to punt it away again as this Jackrabbit defense continues to feast here at the Dakota Dome today.
Yeah, and at this point, you know, this is typical South Dakota State football here. We're going to beat you up front, we're going to ground you a little bit. We'll play action when we want to, you know, rather than when we have to. And we're going to keep you honest. And if you're not honest, you're going to get beat. And we saw it on the last series when Jackson Yankee was able to, or excuse me, Jaden was actually able to catch the long ball that set him up inside the red zone.
To the edge, that's Angel Johnson, and he's got a first down. First carry of the day for him. He's got it out to the 33-yard line. Johnson, another nice weapon in this South Dakota State offense. Doesn't get as many opportunities because of the dudes he's behind in Isaiah Davis and Amar Johnson, but you saw the quickness there from the sophomore out of Irene, South Dakota.
Miles Harden able to set the edge there and come in and make that tackle. If he doesn't, you know, Angel could still be running. We haven't really heard too much from Harden today. He's usually one of the key defenders on that Coyote defense, responsible for a lot of turnovers.
Gradowski has his man. It's Yankee, Jackson Yankee again. Second big gainer of him in this second half already. And just like that, South Dakota State is back into Coyote territory.
And this is what a good running game does. Now it gets your secondary kind of back on the heels a little bit. Everybody's looking for run, and you're able to find holes in the zone here. This one on the outside of the field. Granowski with plenty of time, able to find the Yankee brother for the big gainer.
24 yards that time for Jackson. 3 catches, 93 yards for him. Here's Johnson again. Drags Miles Harden down inside the 40-yard line. They're going to say he stepped out of bounds at the 37. And a gain of 5. The Yankee twins today combining for 5 catches, 142 yards through the air. And then, of course, Jaden had the 7-yard touchdown run to start the 17-point second quarter for South Dakota State. Big day so far for the boys from Madison, South Dakota. Gradowski Drops it off to Johnson, who's all alone in the flat. Spin move to get away from Mogensen. And then Stephen Hillis and Blake Holden come together to get the stop, but not before he gets another SDSU first down at the 31 of USD, a gain of 7.
Yeah, this is a pretty good job by him setting up this move. Nowhere to go downfield. You go to your outlet and then watch this little whoop, whoop. And then he falls down just enough so that the Coyote defenders run into each other. So Angel Johnson showing off a little bit.
Late substitution here as Johnson came off the field. I think we're going to get a timeout to avoid the 12-man penalty against SDSU. They call that their first of the second half with 5:07 to play in the third quarter. Yeah, if you go back to the second quarter, I mean, Jacks didn't do a lot offensively in that first quarter, Andre, but then it was touchdown, touchdown, field goal, and now they're on the move again since then.
And they figured it out, like I said, up front. That first series of the game, first quarter, really, the Coyote defense was all over that run game. They, you can tell that they were like, we're not going to just let Davis, run all over us. As you mentioned, he was averaging 7 yards per rush, and at that particular time was only getting 4. Well, Jack stayed with it, and they start to find some openings, find some seams, just kind of pound on the Coyotes, wear them down a little bit, and now you're starting to see the fruits of that labor, where they're getting very efficient plays, run or pass. These last several series been very efficient offensively, just marching the football right down into the red zone where they're almost unstoppable.
Back to action, 1st and 10 from the 31-yard line. Pitch goes to Davis. Good job getting the edge. That time, Jonathan Jonas and Brock Mogensen knock him down behind the line of scrimmage.
It was a good job of Jonas stretching it out, making sure the edge was set, and then Mogensen showing you some of his athletic ability here. Great speed and closing down to get to Davis and get the tackle for loss.
Loss of 4 yards on the play for Davis. He doesn't go backwards a whole lot, Andre, as you well know. But it brings up 2nd and 14 now. We're going to get a flag here again. Another false start against South Dakota State. That's 4.
False start. Offense, number 10. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
This one goes against Jackson Yankee.
I'm sure Coach Rogers is beside himself a little bit here because he's like, come on, fellas, like, we have addressed this. I'm pretty sure they've addressed this over the last few weeks. Like, even in wins, like, we have to be more disciplined, and we cannot continue to get all of these stupid penalties. You call them stupid because, I mean, right there, just a little flinch. Like, come on, sit, hold your water in there, wait for the snap, and let's go.
13 penalties for over 120 yards last week, 5 for 30 here today, and yet they've found themselves back in front there as Gronowski keeps it himself. It was 2nd and 24. He gets it to the 35-yard line, a gain of 5, but 3rd and 19, and the Jacks have owned this down all day. They're 4 of 6 so far.
And in that 5-yard penalty, you think a 5-yard gain, if they had have started 5 yards up, they'd be, looking at a 3rd and 9 right now, something that it's typical. But because you get the penalty, now you're still at a 3rd and 14, and now you're pretty much forcing yourself to have to throw this football for a first.
One Yankee to either side.
No blitz.
Jaden at the bottom of the screen, Jackson up top. He's looking for Jaden. And maybe a little miscommunication that time between Gronowski and Yankee there, as they were not in the same spot on that throw.
Well, and it looked to me like he should have looked at the other Yankee, because Jackson was up top wide open because he had a step on his defender. Maybe it would have been a tougher throw, but it looked to me like he had the wrong read.
So Dustman on to try another field goal. He's 2 for 2 so far today. Hit from 49 and 22. This would be a 52-yarder for the Jacks kicker. Oh, Dennis Shorter tried to time that snap. And that'll move him 5 yards closer, so it'll still be a lengthy try.
Defense, number 2. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
There's a big difference between 47 and 52.
It is, exactly. You know, it doesn't sound like much, but it is.
And Shorter knew it. I mean, you saw the look on his face there. I mean, he was in the back. I mean, the ball wasn't even almost snapped, and he was already beyond Kevin Brenner's at the end of that line for South Dakota State. So 47-yard try now for Dustman. Plenty of leg as always from Dustman, and again right down the middle. You see why he's such a big part of the kicking game for this team, handling both place kicking and punting duties. Dustman makes it a 20-point game. 3:06 to go, third quarter on the Agtegra scoreboard. 23-3 in favor of top-ranked South Dakota State. Hunter Dustman, his third field goal of the day. This one coming from 47, also hit from 49 and 22. But Andre, as you said, off air, that's two pretty solid series overall in terms of what the defense held South Dakota State to. You know, 6 points versus 14. There's a massive difference on the scoreboard that way. So Jones back, waves for the fair catch, and they'll bring it out again to the 25-yard line. So Aiden Bauman and company will start with it there. But now it's time for the offense to do something. It's been a long time since they've been able to put any kind of real threat together offensively. I remember the first drive of the day, they started marching it right down the field, ultimately had to settle for a 50-yard field goal from Will Leyland. But that was far and away their most productive drive of the day to this point.
Correct. And you know, you get the two stops by your defense who's saying, okay, hey, we're doing our part, right? It's either a stop or a field goal. And we need you to either put together a nice long drive or a long drive with points.
Tice bounces off a tackle and another, and he's out across the 30-yard line. Nice run there from Tice. Give him 7 yards. Of course, Cobbs did have something cooking a little bit there toward the end of the second quarter before turning it over. That's what set up Dustman's 49-yard field goal right before the half. But yeah, just sustaining drives has been a problem, and you know, being forced to be a little bit more one-dimensional. That's a credit to the run defense from South Dakota State, because they've made that part of the game real tough on the Coyotes here today. They're up to 40 yards on the ground now, but they've had to work pretty hard to get there.
That's it, Jay. To me, that's been the difference. You know, we talk about red zone being the difference right now has been South Dakota State's defense has basically come in and said, we are not going to let you rush for 300 yards a game like you've done on everyone else. We're going to shut that down and force Bauman to beat us over the top if he can. And right now, the Coyote offense is showing they can't. Not yet.
Saw Nate Thomas get his first carry of the day, gets a first down out to the 37-yard line. But to your point about the shots downfield, Aiden Bauman's thrown some nice passes downfield. There's been some outstanding defensive play by Dyshawn Gales, Dallas Beanham from those cornerbacks to prevent the big play, because Bauman, frankly, has thrown them well enough to complete them.
That is correct. And a couple of them even hit the hands of the receivers and weren't able to be hauled in. So the guys up front have handled the line of scrimmage. We talked about owning that as being one of the keys for South Dakota State. They've done that. And then on the back end, the secondary basically said, and we're going to hold ours too. You know, Tucker Large with an interception off a deflection. So the secondary's played their part in this as well.
Pick up a 5 there as Galbraith just hauled in his 6th catch of the day. He's up to 54 yards. 5 yards, 2nd and 5 for Tice. Good patience there. Still fell forward, got a couple. It's a kind of a late developing gap in that offensive line, but Tice found it, got something positive out of it, and creates a manageable 3rd down situation here.
A lot of big men in a small area. And when Tice is big himself, but he's actually, you know, a shorter statured running back, and he's trying to pick and choose his way into the opening, into the crease, and it really wasn't a big one on that last play.
Coyotes 2 of 8 on 3rd down. They'll move the pocket here for Bauman. Has the eyes downfield, tries to find some help, And he threw it poorly that time, was trying to fit it in there to Carter Bell. It's fortunate he didn't end up with his second interception of the day.
Yeah, lots of guys in one small area. I mean, pretty much you got 3 defenders and 3 receivers, all outside the numbers. It's Bauman trying to direct some traffic there. But again, mama, there goes that man. Dallas Beanham, Johnny on the spot with his hands on another football. And it sets up another series for the Coyotes where they have to punt it away.
Well, the Jack's outstanding cornerbacks have been on display certainly today. Both have made big plays. Tucker Lard's going to get a chance to return this one. Good coverage though. Anytime you hold that guy to that kind of return with the season he's had back there, he came in averaging over 25 yards, or 24 yards rather, per return coming into the day. Kyle told him to about 6 yards there, and South Dakota State will take over 1st and 10 at its own 28-yard line.
You know, many people around here are familiar with Tucker Lard's story. Sioux Falls kid who came to South Dakota State as a walk-on and has completely become one of the leaders and better players on this team. His contribution both defensively and in the special teams is something that, you know, South Dakota State not just needs, but, you know, he's been the man for them after earning a scholarship through that type of play.
Johnson, good patience here as there was nowhere to go. Ends up with 7 yards. He's out across the 35-yard line. That's all Lamar Johnson right there.
Yeah, nothing doing in the inside, and then he just put it on himself to go outside and get what he could.
And it looks like he did some of that without a shoe on top of it. 3 quarters in the books here in Vermilion. Bob Nielsen in South Dakota trying to solve the top-ranked team in the country. Jackrabbits lead at 23-3 as we head to the 4th in Vermilion.
Welcome back to the 4th quarter in Vermilion inside the Dakota Dome. Jackrabbits lead the Coyotes 23-3. They'll get the ball here to start their 4th quarter. And the Jackrabbits, they're on a pretty long winning streak. It's up to 21 now after the win last week over Southern Illinois. That brings them up to 21. That's tied for 8th longest in FCS. It's also the first time they've ever been 7-0 in program history. The 2 previous times they were 6-0. They tied the following game. On the other side, the Coyotes, they're on their longest winning streak since 2017. They've won 6 straight. They'll need to come back from a 20-point deficit in this 4th quarter if they want to keep that winning streak alive, Jay.
Thanks, Darren. A lot of work to do for the home team, no question about it. Meanwhile, South Dakota State, you know, we're used to seeing a lot of Isaiah Davis and Amar Johnson, certainly. But you got to think Jackrabbits are going to be really pounding the rock with those fellas now, trying to keep that clock moving as long as they can.
I mean, this is South Dakota State football at its finest right there. Ground and pound. You got 5, maybe 6, 7 seniors on that offensive line, all guys who are, you know, NFL-sized bodies. This is what they're going to do, is just wear you out.
Davis gets it again here. He's got a couple. Stood up there. Mogensen in on this stop along with Blake Holden. Brock Mogensen came into the day 4th all-time in tackles here at the University of South Dakota with 347. And he has certainly added to that total here today. Mogensen leading the Coyotes with 11 on the day now. So bump that number up to 358. Senior out of Farmington, Minnesota. What a career he has had. And he was kind of the guy that took over for Jack Cochran, who's now playing for the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Mogensen playing side by side with him for a few years. Somehow Gronowski got enough on that pass as he took a shot from Blake Holden, but he connects with Jaden Yankee, and he is ruled down just short of the first down marker at about the 48.5-yard line. But how does Gronowski even get enough on this thing to get? That's a long throw.
Not only long, but it kind of popped up as well because he couldn't follow through as he was getting hit. So, you know, sometimes luck is on your side as well. And when you're good, you get more luck than most. Three tight ends basically in the formation right now.
And Davis again. Coyotes have done a fairly good job of getting some penetration into the backfield beyond that big line of but beyond that big offensive line of South Dakota State, Andre, but first contact has almost never worked out for them as Davis just runs through the first guy.
Yeah, you know, I attribute that a lot to just Davis being a great back. I mean, that's what you want out of your running backs, is the ability to either, you know, I mentioned this earlier, make the first guy miss or fall forward for positive yards after contact, and he's one of the best at that.
Got him a first down into USD territory at the 49-yard line. And they'll go to Johnson now. It's your typical Thunder Lightning pairing. Davis is the Thunder, Johnson's the Lightning. And he had the touchdown run earlier today. Takes it down to the 43-yard line, a pickup of 6 yards.
You know, so I wonder what Angel is. You know, if we got Thunder and Lightning, and he might be
like
the
Hurricane.
Okay.
I mean, we saw a little spin move, maybe. He's quick.
Hey, there you go.
High speed. You got all three of those. You're getting the job done. There's no question about it. Angel Johnson now 6 carries, 44 yards and a touchdown. Davis 17 carries for 69 yards. Gradowski keeps it himself, takes a bit of a shot there from Caleb McKenzie, but not before he gets another first down to the 37-yard line of South Dakota.
You know, if I'm the Coyotes too, knowing that, hey, they're probably going to run the football, they have a 20-point lead, 3-score lead, they want to start to eat a little bit of clock. You know, just man my guys up on the outsides and then commit, you know, 7, 8 guys to the run, to stopping that run, to see if we can, you know, get them in some of these long down situations and then maybe come out of that man.
Johnson continue to go on the ground, falls awkwardly, just holding on the stop along with Nick Gaze. And Johnson maybe a little fortunate there to be able to get up after that. He had a big body fall in the back of his legs there with Holden. Appears to be no worse for wear.
Yeah, looked a little awkward. I think he was just...
Gaze had him around the ankles.
Showing how flexible he is.
Holden took the rest. Blake Holden's had an outstanding year for South Dakota on this defense, the Watertown product. He's up to 7 tackles himself now on the day. Here's Morgan. Second grab of the afternoon for Morgan, and he's right at the sticks. And are they going to call that a first down, or are they going to say just shy of the first down? Looks like they're going to say just a little short. They're going to go to third down and about a yard.
Yeah, like I mentioned, Yotzing man coverage there, right there, but not able to keep it from getting such a big gain.
Gradowski tried to hurry up there, and I think they got moving too early. If we're correct, that would be a 5th false start penalty against South Dakota State here today.
False start, offense, number 60, 5-yard penalty, third down.
A couple of those have gone against Mason McCormick, the All-American left guard as well. So better situations certainly for South Dakota. Yep, there's the, and then 83 went as well. Quentin Christensen. A couple of guys moving before the snap that time, and South Dakota makes some late substitutions here. Micah Rowan heading off the field now. And the Coyotes set. 3rd and 6. Drops it off. Davis tripped up from behind, but he's got a first down out of bounds at about the 21-yard line. Second catch of the day for Isaiah Davis. And another first down for South Dakota State. And another third down conversion for the Jackrabbits. They're 6 of 9 now on the afternoon.
Yeah, that's a great job. And that's what, you know, when you continually move the sticks with that type of efficiency, it puts a lot of pressure on that defense because they're starting to get tired now. Like, the drives are getting long. They're starting to get a little winded. Of course, they've been pounded on by the size of that offensive line now for 3 quarters. So you're starting to see the will be imposed by South Dakota State.
Big cut back there by Johnson. Gradowski out in front, leading the way. Touchdown, South Dakota State.
This is just vision, right? You start everybody off to the right. You're hoping for a cutback lane, but the cutback lane's usually going to be, you know, somewhere up the the middle of the field. In this case, Johnson is able to cut all the way back to an opening to the clear. There's no one left out there but Harden. Gronowski's able to, do a little something extra, put a little body on somebody and throw some blocks for somebody else rather than people throwing blocks just for him.
And you see the little traffic direction there from Johnson. Said, just get this guy out of the way and I'll be good. And that's exactly what happened there as Johnson gets in for his second rushing touchdown of the day. Came in with 2 and has doubled his total. Dustman for the extra point. It's up and good. It's 30-3 South Dakota State. 8:25 to go with the Jackrabbits having their way in Vermillion this afternoon. 27-point lead here in the fourth quarter. Another big game college football-wise coming up next Saturday. The Dakota marker matchup as South Dakota State gets ready to host North Dakota State. 1:30 start time in Brookings at Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium. They played in front of a packed house here today at the Dakota Dome. And it's certainly going to be jumping at Dana J. next Saturday as they try to complete the Dakota's sweep. What's really wild is, should that be the result and they beat North Dakota State, NDSU will have lost to all 3 Dakota schools in the same season.
That part is something no one expected to say.
Jones takes the touchback and we'll step away again. 30-3 South Dakota State. 8:25 to go in the game.
This game on Midco Sports is presented by Renovo Seed, simplifying forage, cover crop, and conservation seed choices.
So 30-3 South Dakota State, well on its way to a 22nd consecutive win. Would also be their 14th straight in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. And their 9th straight on the road, Andre. This is just a team that's rolling no matter where they play football right now.
Yeah, let's not forget who we're talking about, the defending national champions who have yet to lose a game this season. And they're loaded. They got somebody at every level that is, really good. This defensive line, I thought this would be the question mark of the day. They've stepped up, but that secondary, they've played lights out as well. Right now, they're showing you, why they're always in the national hunt.
Bauman over the middle finds Charles Pierre. And he's cut down 2 yards shy of a first down out to the 33-yard line, rather.
Completely took the running game away. They made USD one-dimensional. You see Aiden Bauman having to step back and throw pretty much, every play in this second half. They've run the ball some, but not nearly the type of running effort that they wanted or that they've had in previous games.
And Kyles with 18 carries for 46 yards. Favorite target today all day, which was established on the opening possession of the ball game for Aiden Bauman, has been J.J. Galbraith. There's been something in that matchup they've really liked. And he has piled up the catches here this afternoon.
Again, I'm noticing South Dakota State with, what do they call it in hockey? A line change, a line shift, where everybody comes out and everybody comes in. They get the whole D-line in fresh.
Bauman hit as he throws, as he tries to stretch the field with Tristan Michaud, and a little slow to get up there. Threw it a little long there, looking for Michaud, his 6'5" target, transfer from Iowa State.
South Dakota has in their repertoire the hurry-up offense. We've seen that over the course of this season where they'll just get right back to the line of scrimmage and call it from the line. That will keep South Dakota State from being able to rotate guys in like that, keep fresh bodies on the field. But unfortunately, South Dakota really hasn't done that today.
Caden Ellingson just came into the game at right tackle as Bauman connects with Jack Martins for the first time today. He's got it out to midfield. And again, 3rd and short coming up here. Clock continues to tick, approaching 6 minutes to play in the ball game. South Dakota will go to Southern Illinois next week. Take on a tough Saluki team that played this Jackrabbit team to a 17-10 finish in Carbondale just last week. And as we talked about earlier, SDSU will head home for the Dakota marker matchup against North Dakota State. Pierre's got the first down into SDSU territory at the 48-yard line. But now the question becomes for South Dakota, Andre, is how do you respond to a day that didn't at all go your way? Because they've won 6 straight coming into today. They were 6-0 against the FCS.
Right.
And this one obviously did not at all go according to plan for Bob Nielsen's team. So the big question is now a tough road game next week at Southern Illinois. Got to get back on track.
Yeah, and you know, one of the messages could definitely be you get away from home, you get away from all the extra hype, and you can kind of just get back to who you are and playing football. But it doesn't get any easier, obviously. Just having another ranked opponent after such an emotional loss in this case is going to be something that we'll see what Nielsen does to get the boys ready to go.
Well, first time in Aiden Bauman's career, he's had 2 passes picked off in the same game. Isaiah Stahlberg gets this one, and the Jacks take over again, leading 30-3 with 5:22 to play in the ball game. Lots of folks heading for the exits here in Vermillion. This electric atmosphere, at least it was most of the day, is started to thin out considerably with South Dakota State taking control in the second quarter and really not looking back. Chase Mason into the game at quarterback now for South Dakota State. Sophomore out of Hurley, South Dakota. Gives it off to his high school teammate Angel Johnson here. And he's thrown down after a gain of a couple. Chase Mason, a highly decorated athlete. Played at Viborg Hurley. High school football here, 9-man football in the state of South Dakota. Then went on, really good baseball player, went on to the University of Nebraska, decided that wasn't what he wanted to do, and transferred to South Dakota State to play some quarterbacks. Had some injury issues, specifically with the ACL, that have kept him off the field a little bit longer than even he could have expected. But he's still really athletic, and he can still deliver some punishment, as you saw right there. Bounces off a tackle, and he's out of bounds at around the 40-yard line of South Dakota.
Dennis Shorter, the free safety for USD, he's a hitter. I mean, Dennis Shorter is one of the better players in this conference, but you got to bring his arms. You got to be able to wrap up. You're not going to be able to run through everyone that you hit. And it's twice now in this game that he's come up and laid some good wood, but didn't bring his arms, didn't wrap up, and the defender's able to bounce off and keep going.
Mason listed 6'4", 230 pounds. You saw all of it right there, and he can run. He can really move. And they'll keep it on the ground with him again. Now, one thing South Dakota's going to look at this tape and going to jump out immediately is the tackling here today. There's been a lot of broken tackles on that South Dakota side of things.
Yeah,
South Dakota State side of things.
A lot of missed tackles. A lot of opportunities where you make the contact, you don't get them on the ground because you're not wrapping up, as we just alluded to. But, you know, defensively, there've also been some good things that they'll see on that video. You know, they've been able to hold South Dakota State on some drives where you would expect maybe State to get some points out of. They were able to force some punts, force some field goals. The other side of the ball, they're going to have to figure out, you know, what can we do when teams shut down our run game? What can we do to counter that and still be efficient? Because that part hasn't happened today.
Mason takes a shot there, looking for Jackson Yankee, and now Micah Roan slow to get up for South Dakota. This would literally add injury to insult today, because Roan's played really good football so far this year for South Dakota. We'll check in on him when we come back. Gig College hockey coming your way tonight here on Midco Sports. 6 o'clock puck drop in Grand Forks at Ralph Engelstad Arena as North Dakota plays host to Minnesota State. Fighting Hawks 6-2 winners over the Mavericks last night, trying to complete the series sweep here tonight in Grand Forks. So Micah Roan did get to his feet, walk off the field gingerly. Looked to be a left leg injury of some kind. But a guy that has played outstanding football for Travis Johansson this year. And here's Angel Johnson spinning into the open field. Dragged down from behind. Dennis Shorter saved a touchdown.
Yeah, he did. And there's nothing fancy here. They just took advantage of the short side of the field. Kick out block on the outside linebacker creates the lane for Johnson to get into. And as you mentioned, one shoestring tackle away from another 7.
So the O-line checks out now to the applause of the Jackrabbit faithful still in attendance here in Vermillion. Those boys did their thing up front today as expected. There's no question about it.
Yeah, they did.
So Johnson trying to get to the edge. Miles Harden stays in front of him, but he's dragged down from behind, not before another first down carry to the 8-yard line of South Dakota.
And if you're South Dakota right now, your defense, you got your starting group out there. You got to step up and force this field goal here. First down inside the 10. I know the game is under 2 minutes, but if you know, your mental going into the rest of the season, going into next week in another big ball game has to be, hey, we can't let them score here. We got to man up and keep them out.
Under 2 minutes to play in the ball game now. Clock continues to move. Give it up the middle. Here's Johnson again. Tumbles down inside the 5. Got the 4-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal from there.
And again, even with the second group, you can see the wear and tear having its effect on the USD's defensive line there. They got pushed back about a yard or 2. That was the difference here. That was the gain that South Dakota State was able to get on this play. They need to be able to stonewall or push South Dakota State's line back some and make that running back have to stand back there and dance a little bit, which allows the rest of the defenders to come up and corral him.
Trying again for Johnson. Through a tackle into the end zone. Touchdown, South Dakota State. That's the 4th rushing touchdown of the afternoon for the Jackrabbits.
And you can see the body language of that USD defense. They are demoted here. Johnson just takes the handoff. Couple of tacklers at his legs that aren't able to hold on and get him to the ground, and he gets into the end zone for a touchdown.
So Dustman on for the extra point. And it's up and through. So a perfect day for Dustman, and it's 37-3 South Dakota State. Remember, it was 3-0 South Dakota after the first quarter today, and it looked like, hey, we were in for a defensive battle. South Dakota State continued to play that way all day, and their offense gotten figured out, and USD just couldn't keep up, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, after the first quarter, I mean, it was pretty much all South Dakota State, and that just shows you they're a championship team for a reason. They've been in these big games. They didn't panic. They just continued to come out and execute, pound the rock, pound, keep chopping wood, and eventually the tree branch broke for Coyotes and their offense, where they couldn't get anything going on the ground, were forced to be one-dimensional. And when you can do that to a team, now you're dictating pretty much everything. And they had their way for 3 quarters, but they're number 1 for a reason. If there's one thing, though, that Coach Rogers is probably going to point out, is that we can't keep having false start penalties and little ticky-tack things like that. That's something that they're going to need to work on.
Total offense 473 to 181 on the day. It was dominating effort on both sides of the football, and we talked about earlier, Andre, about how Pro Football Focus has South Dakota State's ranked #1 in both offense and defense, that certainly showed out.
Yeah,
today.
and I think a lot of people are going to look at the 37 points. They're going to notice the total offensive yardage. They're going to say, wow, the offense really showed up. The defense really, to me, was the difference maker in this game. I mean, to hold an opponent under 200 yards of total offense, hold USD to less than 100 yards rushing, I mean, that was the showcase, in my opinion. Of course, I'm a little biased being a former defender myself, but that defense was the story of the game for me.
Mike Mansoray gets a carry here late for South Dakota and picks up about 5 out to the 30-yard line. And the clock continues to tick down. Coyotes will have to snap it one more time before the end of the ball game.
Yeah, you lose on your home turf to the #1 team in the country. How far do you think they fall?
Tough to say, given the way it went. A lot of other results matter in all that as well. So, and it is in the books. South Dakota State, an impressive effort here against South Dakota. #1 over #4, 37-3 is your final. I mean, there's not really much you could say, Andre, other than just a dominant defensive and offensive effort for South Dakota State in this football game today.
Yeah, they owned the line of scrimmage. The secondary did not crack, and really defensively, they took control of this ball game after the first quarter, and then just showed you who they were, which is the #1 team and defending national champion.
All right. It's in the books here in Vermillion. 37-3 is your final. South Dakota State wins its 22nd straight today at the expense of Bob Nielsen and the 4th-ranked Coyotes. Coyotes fall to 6-2 on the year, now 4-1 in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. David Brown, Curtis Riggs will wrap it up with our post-game show when we come back here on Midcoast Sports.